What he said, what she said, what they said. Hey everyone, welcome back to Gender Talks. It's your girl Cash Money.
And your boy Pat.
And we're going to get right in season 2 with our first, I'm not going to say heavy topic. Because we always are being real and authentic. But yeah, we've been covering some crazy stuff because the beginning of the year so far has been crazy. But yeah, Pat, let's get into it. We want to talk about how you show up.
So this is actually a heavy topic for me because it's hard to show up sometimes as a Black father, as a ex-husband and ex-partner, having 3 daughters. I focus on trying to show up the best that I can. And as a Black man, it is really hard to show up the best way for everyone, right?
Well, let's back up because when we're talking about how you show up, in what areas, let's cover what areas do you think we should be showing up in our lives?
Definitely for
people in general and in your personal life. What areas do you think we should be showing up in? Let's cover that or discuss that.
Okay. So I started on the personal life one. So let me do the personal life first. So you definitely should show up for yourself, right? Um, you show up for yourself. You should show up for yourself in spiritual, mental, physical. Um, I was laughing because I just came from the gym, so I got my little pump on. So physically, you should show up for yourself because
you trying to see how swole up in the chest?
I'm not. You know what? I've never been, but I've never been like swole. So I'm just trying to stay in shape, right? I'm trying to be as healthy as I can. Um, and that's how we show up for ourselves, right? Exercise, at least exercise, get some exercise. Like, uh, why I say that is because I'm looking at my parents, and my parents are in that age group where even their generation, they started working out, right? But they really that generation that I ain't gonna work out. I don't have to do that, right? They was all like like I laugh because it was like Teddy Pendergrass, all them was skinny dudes, skinny tall dudes, right? So but
They
then
ain't think
end
they
up
was gonna
being
put no weight on.
right, but then they end up putting weight on, and then or they end up not working out and they deteriorate, right? That's the thing. Like for my mother, I feel like my mother's kind of deteriorate. She doesn't want to work out. She don't want to walk. She don't want to do nothing. And it's kind of getting to the point where she's sore and I got to
You
take
don't use it, you'll lose it.
yeah. So, and I keep trying to tell her that. So that's the thing that I want to say about all of us, especially we're millennials, right? Yeah, we're millennials.
Gen X.
Well, Gen X stops at 80. We
Gen
80.
X millennials.
Yeah. So
We right there. I mean, I'm just
yeah,
saying.
we right there. We were Generation X until they came up with millennials. So yeah,
Exactly.
we Gen X.
They keep
So
shifting. They say, because technically they say millennials is 85, 84. We're not
yeah,
85,
yeah,
84,
yeah.
baby.
They keep shifting. So um show up for yourself in that way because it allows you to be the healthiest that you can be, which extends your longevity, right?
So you say you need to show up for yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one area we need to show up in. What's another area or areas?
If you have children, definitely you need to show up for your children, right?
We talk
Um,
about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we talk about our children, and showing up for children a lot. But here's the thing about that I say, the children in your life, and I say that because I have a niece and nephew, and then they have girlfriends, right? And they're children in my life. They kids to me. They always gonna be kids, right?
They may not
And
be, so you're saying not just biological.
not just biological, right?
Show,
Right. Your extent, whatever children are in your life. I've
show
had
up for the children.
show up for your children, show up for the children, right?
So
Um,
would that kind of be like a micro of showing up for your family then? Show up for yourself, show up for your family,
yeah,
show
yeah,
up for your friends,
yeah.
show up for work.
Okay, so here's a question. Here's a question. How do you show up for your friends?
Um, I feel like the same way you would show up for your family, you know, at this age, we can be making friends, but the majority of us have relationships with our friends that span the same amount of time frame we have with some of our family members. If that makes sense.
Yeah, we've been down for 25 years almost.
Right.
So.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? That's almost half my life.
Yeah.
You know, you think about it. So, you know, that type of thing. So, and I put that and I say that in comparison because everybody's situation is different. You know, we talked about it intimately as far as, you know, me not having my parents. If you follow me on social media, you see stuff. And, you know, one of the posts that I made one year for a birthday was 50's not too old, 64 is too young. And looking at it, you know, my dad passed when I was 19. I've now been on this earth without my dad longer than I had my dad. I now have friendships with people that I've had, as you alluded to, longer than I had my dad. So I say, depending on your dynamic, show up for your friends the way you show up for yourself, your family. I don't think there's a difference if we're talking about building positive, cohesive, unity, community, you know, as we talked about with the kids. Being present, a lot of this showing up is being present. And yeah, going back to season 1 episode, you know, even of course not being in the house every day is difficult as a parent, but you can still show up. It ain't always about being present by providing with money and things. There's other ways you show up. So I think there's no difference between showing up for yourself, your family, your friends.
Okay. Now, how? Keeps talking about showing up, but how exactly? Is there a way, like monetarily, right? You want to show up for your children that way. You want to be able to provide things, right? Excuse me. But how do you show up for your friends? Like me and you, we show up for each other. We got each other's back, right? But then how do we prove that? Like we've been down for years, so we've proven it to each other time after time. So
I think that's what it is. It's time. I think showing up sometimes we want to always tie to a deed of doing. And sometimes showing up is in the work ethic. If you talk about showing up at work, you know, or integrity, I'll say that showing up is rooted in integrity, which, you know, the definition for those in the military was doing the right thing even when no one was looking. That was integrity. So I think showing up for friends is in your work ethic. It's easy to say you somebody friend when they doing for you, you doing for them. We going out to eat, whatever. But where do your friends show up? Death. When people die, are your friends there? When you're going through something, are your friends, even if you're not going through something, do you call me? Do I talk to you a couple times a week? Some of my friends I talk to daily. Some of my friends I talk to weekly. Are we in constant communication? I'm gonna be honest, I don't consider you a friend if I'm not in contact with you at a minimum 2 or 3 times a month. You're an associate. If I talk to you less than 3 times a month, you're not my friend. You don't know what's going on with me. And that's the same even with family members. You know, we talk about that. There's some people within families, you go months and months and months without talking. I'm not that person. Because again, I feel like in order to grow a relationship, you have to water it and feed it and nurture it. And if
Okay.
you're not doing those things, it's stagnant.
So here's another question. I've been reading this book about building trust and trust relationships. So one of the statements in it is about trust. Trust has a different meaning to everyone, right? The
True.
word, right. So the word trust and then the association is different for me and you, right? But then there's this common ground that we hit, and then you either trust springs from that, or you can see where there is no trust, right? So what is your definition of trust in order for you to move into friendship? And then, for me and you, and I know it's like for a lot of people, and people will understand this when I say this, we're beyond friends now. We've been beyond friends for a long time, but we're family, right? So
Right.
how how and and that's why I was on this trust thing is how how did we move forward in trusting each other with secrets, with our lives, right? How did we spring our trust relationship in order to be able to show and to continue to grow this relationship that we have to where we're even doing this podcast with each other?
Okay, you was kind of breaking
So,
up the
and
roads there.
what does
So
trust
repeat
mean to
that.
you?
So repeat that. You was kind of breaking up some. So we
Okay.
want to get the people clear.
All right. So I was talking about trust relationships, right? And how do you establish trust when trust is different for each
Right.
individual?
Okay.
All right. So my question is, what does trust mean to you? That's question one. What does trust mean to you? Then two, how did we move to where we trusted each other and we were able to cultivate our relationship through that in order to get here to doing this podcast with each other?
Okay. So, there's certain situations in which you have to trust. Like, being in the military, immediately going through similar situations, you got to trust that the person next to you got your back, because at the end of the day, y'all both understand we could die out here and this ain't what I want. I want you to go home. I want to go home. So that's the instantaneous trust. But people might think this is weird. And I will say I have changed my perspective a little bit. There's a saying, trust no one. And there's some people who I don't trust nobody. Everybody's shady. And I think depending on your scenarios or the environment and things you see, you do that. I used to kind of feel like that. The maturity in me, I feel like that was kind of just not knowing in situations. The naiveness sometimes comes in with not knowing the world. Where I'm at now, I trust you till you give me a reason not to trust you. That's the philosophy we in. We grown, mean what you say. I think for me, trust goes back to being rooted in integrity in the work ethic. Trust building comes with follow through. If you say you're gonna do something, then do it. Mean what you say what you mean, and communicate where things may be off.
Can you lose trust for someone and they gain it back? Or are you a person that once you lose trust, that person can never get it back?
It depends on the type of grievance or severity of how the trust was lost. And I say that because, we talked about kids, and there's things we call them the little white lies, or the kids, did you clean your room? Yeah, but they didn't clean their room. They can come back from that stuff. Did you wash your hands? No, but you know what I'm saying? The little stuff the kids lie about. Did you eat the candy? No. Yeah. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
They can come back from that. They're learning what trust is, and that if I say I did something, When I didn't, that's lying. And I probably don't want to, that's a teaching moment, because those are trust issues, and if you let them get out of hand, you can go. So those type of things, you can come back. If you say, and like you said, I remember some podcast where we were talking, one episode where we were talking, and you was like, we lie every day. Like, not think about it when you like, I'm gonna call you back, but then you don't call back.
Yeah, we lie every day. Yeah, everybody lies every day. Yeah, you're right.
So certain types of situations, you can come back from the lie. I think it's the gravity of the situation, the integrity, and of course we talk about the intent before the intent. Because again, there are some people, if you cheat, they'll rebuild that trust. Some people like me, you cheat, one and done, it's over, it's a wrap. I ain't never trusting you again. We're not even gonna have that. You might as well go on. I'm dead to you, you dead to me. Type situation. So it's levels to what trust can be regained. But again, I think that's rooted in people's beliefs and their outward appearance and perception, and how they want the golden rule: do unto others as you want others to do unto you. I think people's definition of trust is rooted in that and how you want to be treated.
Okay, so that's personal. We went on this personal journey, and we're going to circle back like always, right? Now, let's go on this outside personal, I guess, societal trust. How have we put too much trust into constructs or systems to where we're comfortable in the way the world is showing up to us and how we show up in the world? So say, for instance, work. Now we get a job. The job has expectations, right? But we expect our job to be there every morning that we wake up. Right? And what happened?
I don't know that everybody, that would be an absolute, especially in today's climate. I don't think everybody expects their job to be there, because people are cognizant that jobs close, there's layoffs, there's layoffs and all of that stuff. So I don't think people have I think there was a time they did, probably prior to 2000 or 2008. I think that may be true in terms of job, but I think most folks today understand and recognize that their job is not permanent. They can be replaced at any time. I think the people that think like that are living in silos. They in islands somewhere. They not in a reality, because I think the majority of people now understand they're replaceable. So they don't believe or trust that their job is gonna always be there.
Really?
Yeah.
So before all the craziness and before this regime, right? And I call it a regime, came into office. You didn't trust that your job was going to be there every morning?
No.
So even in the Biden administration, even the Obama, even the last Trump administration, you knew, you had an idea that your job could be gone when you go to sleep one night with the job, and the next morning they could cut
you. Yeah.
And you think most people feel that way?
I think most people are aware that situations can happen to where they can become unemployed. Okay. Now, the key is whether or not they prepare to be for that. Knowing about it and being prepared for it are two different things. But I think everybody, the majority, I'm not going to say everybody, the majority of working people in today's society are aware that they could wake up and not have a job. Okay. And when I say wake up, it means you could, some places, it could be you could wake up tomorrow and not have a job. Some people it could be months. Some people that
Yeah.
say, hey, in 2 years, we're phasing this out. It can be a
Yeah.
phase
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah.
But I think, again, especially after 2000, to the auto industry crisis, the housing crisis, I think more people, because that is more of what our parents' generation, and a lot of them weren't able to go back into the working force if they were in those industries. A lot of them had to take early retirements, early buyouts. So I think those people may be the ones that was, I'm gonna have a job. Us having gone through those things, I don't think too many of us in our age group, in our generation, believe that their job ain't going nowhere.
So that's another way we need to show up for ourselves, and we recommend that you show up for yourself is always have an exit plan or a plan where you might not have a job tomorrow, right? The best thing to do is to have that plan. You might not ever have to use that plan, but have a plan for if you don't have a job tomorrow, because especially in this is more there's more of a reality now than ever, right? I've been a federal employee. You're a federal employee right now, and that crap is crazy, right? With the
or not even, or even before. Think about it when the government shut down in the military.
In the military, yeah, when we were, yeah. You
working, not getting paid.
Yeah. That was crazy. You know what? That was crazy. When I think about that, that was crazy because one of the things about the military is, okay, I could die, but my family's gonna get these benefits, right? But when the government shuts down, you still could die.
That thing,
yeah,
people don't. I think that's the misconception that people have about the federal government. Can the federal government be more permanent than the private sector and a little bit more stable? Prior to this, yes. For the most part, you find more federal government employees with 10, 15 years on the job. Certain private sector jobs, that's a rarity now, unless they are our parents' generation and they get ready, they've been there, teaching, pretty much depending on where you are, you could, case in point, where my daughter's getting ready to go to school, the teacher's been there 25 years. That's because, private schools funding, there's a lot that goes into the private sector, kind of like the federal sector, but it's different. It's a little bit more rockier than federal government can be, even with all the changes within federal government. When you have a new president, a new administration, there's still some lower level continuity that allows it to be more stable than, say, the private sector. You get a new CEO, he come in, we doing layoffs, or companies merge, and this half of the old company, you're out of here. You can't really, it's laws, for federal government. So that's what allows it to be a little bit more stable, which I think gives the false sense of security. And to your point, I ain't gonna wake up tomorrow and my job ain't gonna be here.
Yeah. Okay, so now we get heavy. This is getting ready to be heavy on you, and it's gonna be heavy on me too. So, you as a Black woman, how do you show up for Black women? That's probably gonna be an easy answer. But how do you show up for Black men, right? And vice versa for me, right? But I'm asking the question, so you have to answer first. How do you show up? How do you show up for Black women and for Black men? And then how do you show up in society for everybody? Because of course you're a Black woman, so Black women been showing up for years, and at the same time, Black men been showing up for years. And I still want my apology for this election because Black women swore, and I'm talking to you, Black woman. Y'all swore Black men wasn't gonna
about that.
I ain't got my apology yet. I ain't got my.
Well, it wasn't an overwhelming majority of y'all.
It was 85%. That's overwhelming.
I mean, it still wasn't enough. But
and that's what's crazy. That's what I still get. It wasn't enough.
I know this ain't, I don't want to say this is gonna sound cheesy, but again, I show up for how I want people to show up for me. And I know that might be a high bar, a high expectation, because I don't think lowly of myself. I have a high bar for myself, which is why some people a lot of times call me an overachiever. But yeah, that's the way I want to show up. So even in like the gift giving,
bougie,
the stuff, if I give for my friends, I don't just, sometimes want to give a card, or I don't do generic gifts. Everything is personal. I feel like I tap into the person needs, because that's what I would want for me. So I show up not just to the Black woman or to the Black man, to anybody, the way I want them to show up for me. Now, that could be dangerous, because if you show up on the low end, you not showing up the way I would show up for you, and we're gonna have a problem. And then I got to reevaluate, and you might get this, case in point, a lot of people used to say, well, when I first met you, you were mean. No, I wasn't mean. You just had to get to know me.
Yeah.
You had to get to know me.
Yeah, I've been hit with the what's the when you're full of yourself, what's the word I'm trying to
arrogant.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm like, the people that know me, like, I'm far from arrogant. I'm like I'm really, really humble. Like but I was so humble to a point where I was thinking low of myself, right? And then I had to realize, hey, your confidence got you to a certain point, and you need to get your confidence back and still be humble in your confidence, right? But I got told, I never talked to you, or when I first thought you were, when I first met you, or when I first saw you, I thought you were arrogant.
The assumption.
Yeah. And I'm like,
how did you get that? Like,
how did you get that from me walking across a room?
Apart from that, like, the same way I used to get, you're conceited. Why? Why would
you? Yeah, I got conceited.
You're conceited. You're mean. Why? Why do you get that? Because I don't talk to everybody. That's just not my personality. I mean, you got to get to know me. You got to get to know me. You don't know me, I ain't talking to you like that.
That's not my personality.
So that's the thing. Yeah. So for me, there's no difference. So what about you? So how do you show up?
Ooh, I failed.
Answer your question.
I failed in plenty of ways showing up for Black women and men. But I failed showing up for Black women in the sense that I don't know how to say this. I felt like I was doing my duty, right? I felt like I was doing my part, but find out they didn't feel that way, right? So
kind of like I just said with the whole voting thing, and I said
exactly. So yeah,
I was joking. There's some people that really feel
right, but that's exactly that's good. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. So it was like I'm getting a 90, right? I'm getting a 90, a 95. I'm like, oh, I'm getting the A, right? I'm doing my part, I'm doing my thing, but then, well, you can always do more. And that's the truth, right? You can always do more. In certain situations, you can always do more, right? You can always do more. It does not matter. So yeah, so I failed in that. So I've had to reevaluate.
But that's the thing, and that's what I was gonna say too. We have to recognize when we don't show up, and recognize in the doing more. Are we ever gonna be able to do 100%? No, because we're not perfect.
Yeah.
So we're never gonna be able to show up in certain avenues 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Just doesn't matter. It just doesn't. And then we're not perfect. And we have to recognize and be okay with that fact that we're not perfect.
Yeah.
And show up. And that's the thing. We're not perfect. So once you understand you're not perfect, you're not going to be 100% the time. You can show up. And then there are moments, as you said, I can still do more. But even in still doing your more, it may never be 100. And you have to accept
so you have to accept
that.
that too.
Yeah. And you have to accept that. That doesn't mean you're a failure. It's just recognizing the reality of I'm imperfect.
And showing up for my brothers. And I say this for Black men especially, but men in general, but for my brothers, it is going to sound arrogant and conceited, but I didn't know how much I affected other men, right? I didn't know until I actually, because and a lot of my friends, I've been disconnected for years, right? And so y'all, I'm talking to Kelly because she knows. I'm talking to Cash because she knows. I've talked to her. We've been going strong for 25 years, right? And she's been in my life. We talk at least once a week, or when we were at a connection, it was still once or twice a month, right? But we talk all the time. A lot of my friends that were my day one friends and from birth until college, I was gone, right? So high school, I grew up in the hood, and one of my best friends got killed at 15. And I was talking to my best friend, my day one, my ace, right? And he was like, Patrick, you took off. He was like, I could tell you were gone, right? And he was like, that affected the entire neighborhood because my existence has been this odd one. And so
and that's for that time, that was your trajectory in life. You know, and the thing of it is too, some people, you talk about this a lot, is knowing our purpose. Some people have a purpose. Not some people, everybody has a purpose. But some people's purpose in your lives and them showing up may be temporary. Some people may not be meant to continue on that journey for you. And so, that's where you let stuff go. Y'all trajectories, for some people, y'all may get off track because things happen. Yeah. You get off track, you get a flat tire,
So I was saying this.
You can come back as well.
And so I was saying this because plenty of my day ones from my hometown, they're gang members, right? They're OG gang members too, like G's, like, and they've been inside, they've been to jail, and they got out, they've been on probation, and all that, right? And the beautiful thing about me is I grew up in the hood. My house was the meeting spot. My homeboys kept me from the streets. My homeboys are all in different gangs, for real. You'll notice when I name them. I got Gangster Disciple friends, I got Blood friends, I got Crip friends, I got all kinds of different friends, and they all are my friend, right?
But they didn't associate, right?
Right, but they did, outside of associating with me, when they came to my house or when they talked to me, we was all together.
Right.
And so I'm a gathering, I'm a pull together force, right? Because matter of fact, I messaged my homeboy. My ace is a Crip, and my other ace is a Blood, right? I messaged I messaged one. I said, hey, tell the other one happy birthday, and he was like, I got you, because the other one, he always on the run. In his head, he's always on the run. Anyway, that's a long story. He's always on the run. So
they could come to a truce for a minute, but
right. So here's the thing. So those are my day ones, right? From growing up, and I didn't know how I affected those men, right? Let's shoot to college. I just got back in contact with one of my best friends from college. He was like, man, when you've been gone from me for years, right? Like, but I always kept thinking about you. It kept every time, da 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 da. And I'm like, dude, I didn't know I affected men. I affected my homeboys this way. And what I realized is, again, a lot of them were looking at me like this guiding light. And then I myself didn't show up. I took that away because I was like, oh, I ain't got no friends. I don't want to be
Situations,
home. Yeah,
thinking,
situations, all that. And I was
right.
like, but I didn't realize until I connected, until I got back, and I was like, yeah, these are my best friends. Like these are my boys. Like,
And that's the key to being aware, the growth, the maturity
yeah,
in everything, and recognizing I wasn't showing up.
I wasn't showing up.
And
Yeah,
I could have infected positive change
correct.
in there.
So,
Said things different, not necessarily taking on the responsibility
but
or
just being
guilt,
there.
but just
Yeah,
being aware.
yeah. Because then I'll take it back to my best friend from birth. He was like, actually, all three of them that I'm talking about, but I got more friends that are really close. Uh, but all of them was like, when I heard you were home, or when like my college friend, when I heard that you had talked to this person, I got so excited. I was like, and my best friend, he jumped in his car, and I could hear him. We grow up. I was at my neighborhood at my house, right? I showed you my house. I talked about. I could hear him. He still lives in the same neighborhood. He literally peeled out from his house, and I could hear him drive all the way to my house, right? And he was like, I was so excited to hear that you were home. And I was like, I didn't know I affected people this way. I didn't know I affected these men this way. And then
Right.
and then once I started talking to him again, and we reconnected, I realized that yeah, I should have been just saying hello, just saying what's up, because it makes a difference. Sometimes you don't know how you affect other people. You don't know how you affect men or women, right? You don't know who's looking at you. I'm sitting here thinking, ain't nobody thinking nothing about me, right? I'm just this person out here in the world, just moving around doing stuff. But I'm affecting these people to where my best friend is gone. And so I had to apologize to them and tell them, you know what? That's my bad. You know what? So
I didn't know
make
my boy, right.
sure. So
Right.
yeah, so the thing I say all that to say, make sure that you stay in contact with the people that are your friends, that you know in your heart, you feel it, right? You know that they're your friend, right? And then there are people, yeah, friends fall out, but true friends never fall out, right? They never really let you go, right? Distance, distance should never affect friendship. This was distance over years, 20, almost 30 years. When I disconnected from my friends in high school because of what happened, that's almost
Right.
30 years, right? But still, but you see, but like if you had seen excitement when we reconnected and saw each other, it was like, because he's literally like my opposite. So if I'm the church boy, I was the church boy, right? My
So
best
y'all
friend,
went back to teenage years,
we were literally like kindergarten. We went back, we were remembering stuff from kindergarten together. Like it was like that.
core
So
memories. Got you.
core memories, right? So I encourage everyone to reconnect. If you don't have friends, you have more people than you think you do,
Mm-hmm.
right? When the people that say I don't have any friends, you got more people than you think you do. There is someone watching you. There is someone there that's going to be there that says, you know what? I was watching your story. I was watching you. I watched you walk down the street, pick up that piece of trash, and spy me, right? Just to be like, oh yeah, he's a great person, or she's a great person, or I want to get to know that person. Don't ever think that
That you're not showing up.
you're not showing up. And then if you do think that you're not showing up,
Do more.
do more. Start to show up. Yeah, start
All
to show
right.
up, right? We show up by voting. We show up by supporting Black businesses, supporting businesses in general, especially minority businesses, right? We show up by being brave, and yeah, sometimes we need to stand in solidarity with others, but at the same time, I'm saying this
We
to
show
my,
up with words. We show up with action.
definitely show up with words and actions. Sometimes words, even though people talk about action, words and actions speak louder than words, sometimes your words are the only thing that can speak, right? All the only things that can be said, that can happen.
Well, we've done that. Even when we knew we needed to connect to call, it would be, hey, I was thinking about you.
Yeah,
I'm going to call you.
yeah,
We that's a way to show up. I know we need to talk, but we can't coordinate.
Do it right now. Yeah.
But I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you is words that you're showing up when you say those are words.
Because we need to hear that stuff, right? We need to hear that, or we need to read it in a text. Hey, somebody is thinking about me. Somebody loves me, right? Because a lot of times we get out here and we feel like we're alone, especially being adults, right? And this is not even black, white, da 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 da. This is just being a grown up, right? Being a grown up, you get out here and you like, I got to figure this shit out all by myself all
life
the time.
Be life.
Life be life.
And so you gotta refocus, digress, show up.
Definitely show up for yourself. Make sure you show up
for first yourself. And foremost.
That's when you show up for yourself, then you can show up for others.
Ain't show up for nobody else.
Right.
Or I mean, you can, but you be looking broke down and raggedy.
And it causes, and then the other thing is, we talk about this. I've talked about this plenty of times in other podcasts. There's a spiritual answer for everything that's going on in your life, right? So when you deal with the spirit, you have to go inside. So you have to heal yourself, and you got to go inside. So make sure that your spirit is healed and your spirit is full and girded up, and gird up your loins, right? Cover yourself.
And then show up.
Right? And then
this was good. This wasn't as heavy as I thought it was gonna be.
Nah, I thought it was gonna be heavy though.
But it's heavy. And I think that's probably because the places we are in our lives and we're actively and passively showing up.
Yeah.
Actively and passively showing up. And it's a continuum, just like growth and healing. We talked about all that stuff. All of these things are continuum. They don't cease to stop.
They don't stop.
So we're aware of that. And so because of that, that does allow us to be present and show up in the moments we need to be present.
Yeah.
Show up. It's a good job. So that's why it's not heavy. Now, if you view this or listen to this, we're not judging.
Nah.
We listen, we don't judge.
We don't judge.
But if you feel a little heavy, that may be your conscience, your spiritual side telling you, you got some healing and some adjusting to do. You need to make up. You might need to do more for yourself and for others. Show up.
I definitely agree.
Until next time, don't forget to like, share, comment,
give us some topics.
Feedback is good. Showing up and giving feedback is good.
I like how you showing up and
give feedback.
Yeah.
Y'all know where to find us.
So here's the last thing I'm gonna say to everybody. If no one has told you today, next week, tomorrow, next month, next year, that they love you, know that there's a person in this world named Patrick that loves you.
He loves everybody.
I do. I love everybody. I do.
See? Just show up. See, that's how just showing up. He loves everybody. Catch y'all next time.
All right.